We definitely paying less attention at our home versus at office what we have around us. When you're at home, it's your responsibility to understand how you protect your environment.
Hello, hello to everyone out there within the sound of my voice. Got another great episode for you. Evgeniy Kharam has worked with some of the largest corporations in Canada, US, and Europe, and he's worked with them on cybersecurity. There are so many things that transpire online, and sometimes because of the convenience, we don't think about the security features. In this episode, we're going to talk about some of those things, and we're going to talk about ways you can protect yourself online and things that you can do to secure your business. We're all about building moats around our business, protecting those things, and sometimes we have these invisible protections that we need for our businesses. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell us a little bit more about how you gravitated towards cybersecurity and all the great ways that entrepreneurs can build a cyber moat around their business.
Good. So first of all, thank you for having me on the show. Very fun and blessed to be here today. Cybersecurity came to me by mistake. I learned electronics and engineering when I was in school. Then I spent 5 years in the Navy. And in the Navy, I spent more time with networking and IT, computers. And when I finished the Navy after 5 years, I was walking around trying to understand what I want to do. And I stumbled on a company called Checkpoint based in Israel. I was living in Israel during this time that was looking for quality assurance people. I had a very basic knowledge in technology, in networking, and in computers. I was able to get into the position. I didn't know it's actually cybersecurity. Long story short, I was ending testing firewalls, how they work, and understanding all the protocols. So I went into cybersecurity almost by mistake because I was looking at a position in IT in general. Few years after, I moved to Canada, where I still live right now in Toronto, and I joined the company. If any of you watch Shark Tank in US, you may know Robert Herjavec as one of the sharks. I joined Herjavec Group, Robert company in cybersecurity, as a basically firewall engineer. I spent 16 years in the company doing a variety of roles and helping enterprise customers with the firewall, with architecture later on in general, managing several teams in professional services is people that going and deploy and consult to other people and other enterprises. Spent a lot of time in technical pre-sales. We'll mention the book later on. The book is about connecting to people and like how actually do the communication if you're in sales, if you're customer success. I do believe we all, in one way or another, in sales. Where are we going to eat lunch? Where are we going to go for movies? Go to vacation? Which thingy you need to buy? So I've been in cybersecurity for quite a long time, more than 20 years right now. I currently run my own practice. I consult to customers, to enterprise customers, and startups as well, how to build a better cybersecurity defenses and protections to themselves.
That was a lot to unpack. You have been busy, very
I'm,
busy.
I'm
And before
busy.
we, yes, and before we dive just really deep into the book, one thing that I thought about when we were preparing for this episode was that since COVID-19, you have more people working from home. And so, could you tell us things maybe that businesses need to be aware of when they are employing people to work on their behalf from home? And maybe some of the things that we can look for in the book that may help us with that?
100%. So the book actually spend more less on security, more on connection to people, but there's a couple of chapters that talking about communication from home and why it's related and why it's important. Because if you and me will be in the office, we'll be sitting in a room and recording the episodes there. But you and me recording in the different locations, and probably you have several screens. I have four screens in front of me, and it's very important from the communication perspective because I may look into your eyes, into the camera, looking at different screen, and you will just see half of my face because the camera will be located somewhere else. But from cyber perspective, there's few things. We definitely paying less attention at our home versus at office what we have around us in some cases. It's also applicable in the office as well. You may have notes, whiteboard behind you. You may have different networks in your home. You may be sharing networks with your neighbor. You may be living with other people. You're not responsible to protect the network when you're at the office, but when you're at home, it's your responsibility to understand how you protect your environment because the office will not tell you how to set up your wireless controllers, or how to segment the different networks, and who else is on your network. So definitely there's basic hygiene you want to employ at home, and the employer should ask people basic questions. Hey, are you working by yourself at home? Do you have any other people? Anybody on your network that you don't know beside your family? Are you sharing the network with somebody else? Why it's important? Because depending on the information employees are working at home, we may want to figure out how to add additional security. If you're just dealing with marketing material, for example, okay, maybe nothing is proprietary there. Nothing like, hey, I'm asking to create an image, create a thumbnail, create a document. But that's a good scenario because people always think it's not us. What if you're in a marketing agency and you're working on the next Tesla model, next McLaren model? You're basically responsible to create images and graphics for the next future car. Now we're talking about proprietary information. Now we're talking about something that the companies that you're making the work for them may don't want to be released premature, especially in the car industry. So the difference between you working on an image of Toyota Corolla from 20 years ago and Toyota Corolla based on hydrogen that will be released in 5 years, I don't know. I'm making stuff up right now. Okay, going to be very different. This is why even a simple job that may on the basic level will not have anything proprietary, anything important, could may have something important. And there's other examples from a different industries. This could be a research you're doing. This could be finance work. So let's think about this. You have a finance person that doing finance for other customers. This finance person, by definition, going to have a lot of proprietary, interesting information about the customers. How do they save the information? Where does it save the information? How they share the information between the people? When we were in the office, we had OneDrive, Boxnet, different systems to share the information, SharePoint. When we work from home, especially small companies, not always have a dedicated place to share the information. So people share the information any ways they want. Google Drive, OneDrive, this drive, new send to me without always thinking, would it stay there forever? Who will have other have access? Do they need to protect the links? This is some of the examples. I can talk forever.
Yes. And listening to some of those examples, the first thing that comes to mind when you talked about Google Drives, OneDrives, and things like that, those are so common and they're just so easy to use. How do I know as an employer that I've done enough? Because I don't believe there's one complete solution for cybersecurity. I think there are several ways you can have best practices. You can do all the things, but you may not be 100% protected from cyber threats. But what is a safe amount of best practices that I can employ when I'm considering hiring someone and letting them work for me remotely? What are some of the things that I can do?
Let's answer the first question. What is enough? It's very hard to say, oh, do XYZ and it's enough. We have this famous answer in cybersecurity says it depends. Because it is
Love it.
depends. It is depends on your nature of your work and what do you do. Like tiny example, and I'll answer a question. You may have a company, let's go back to marketing, of 100 people doing marketing with almost zero infrastructure, no service, no data centers, nothing. Because everything going to be in basically consumable services. Canva, SaaS application, everything based on internet. Or you may have 10 people company that doing gambling, for example, online poker. They are going to have a massive infrastructure, massive amount of servers to actually work with people. So it's really going to be dependent on what you do. Why I mentioned this? Because this is going to be the part that depends to say what's enough. To understand what's happening, what we usually say, let's do a baseline. When you buy a new house or new apartment, what do? You ask for an inspector to come in and check the baseline of the house of the apartment. A, there's a crack in the basement. A, the roof is a bit leaky, wasn't replaced long time. Here's what we recommend you to do first, depend on the quality of the inspector. Some of them, not as good. Some of them not just find you places, but also telling you the recommendation of what need to be fixed first. Then you're fixing the things, and if you want to improve your house, you're gonna have a baseline from this, and you're gonna upgrade. So let's pretend we don't care about the cosmetics of the house right now. Okay, we only care about we don't want anybody to get into our house. What we'll think about, okay, we'll look on the windows. We need to know how many windows we have. We need to look on our doors. We need to look how many doors we have. We need to look on how the mechanism of the doors and the windows get locked. Can I get into the garage? Can I get into the walk-in basement? Do I have a fence? Do I have a cameras? So I'm gonna look on some of the information in the house, and based on this, I say, oh, you know what? The camera system I have in the house is okay, but it still have a VCR from 40 years ago. Let's upgrade this to a newer system. Oh, we can have a system that's gonna alert us as well, not just record the parts, for example. What I'm getting this, if you're a small business, if you're someone that has a business or startup, you want somebody to come in and understand your particular business. Do you have a development? You don't have a development. Do you work with third-party people? Where is your data resigned right now? And based on this, create a program with steps. Sometimes it's going to be a lot of steps, some going to be less steps. We want to prioritize, understand where we can spend a reasonable amount of budget to do some steps to secure it. And then you come back in 2, 3 months with the baby steps, understand what you did, and build on top of this. You're going to create more complicated cybersecurity defenses depending on what you to do. Let's say one day you want to go and work with the government. Government will basically put a compliance on you called CMMC, and you will have to now be comply to this. But if you're doing the steps from the beginning, it's not going to be as hard as it will be otherwise.
I love the distinction that you made because sometimes when you have someone who may be creative and they may have a widget that they love to make and that's what they sell. They sell a product. They may not be tech savvy. So when you introduce the concept of cybersecurity, it could almost be scary to someone because you were focused on making that great widget and getting it out to market. But when you talked about starting, with baby steps and looking at what you have, that is an excellent way to look at it. What am I doing right now? How can I do it better? That is so great. So tell us a little bit more about how you actually started the book and about some of the other things that we can expect if we are to look into the book.
I'm going to show you the book as well. The book is Architect and Success. It's not a security book. It's a book about connection and a book about how to basically connect to people and sell more. And I do believe we all, in a way, sellers. And one of the important parts that during COVID, we lost this physical communication. We lost sitting in the same room, having a lunch, being in a meeting. As I mentioned, they have several screens, so it's very easy to be distracted. And you maybe were in a meetings when you're in a meeting and somebody telling you something, but you basically looking on your LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok profile. You're like, yeah, yeah, this is so good. Yeah, this is very good information, but you're not fully present. And I believe if we're able to connect with your person, if we're able to find the hook that capture your attention. Oh, this Evgeny dude is quite interesting. Your attention and your focus will elevate towards actually listening to Evgeny product and Evgeny pitch as well. This is how the book started. I know we don't have so much time to explain everything in the book, but the book provides some history about sales in cybersecurity, but also applicable to many other domains as well in technology, not technology as well. It also focusing on can you improve, I call them building blocks. Can you improve your video setup? Can you improve your voice? Can you improve how you talk to people? Can you get over the fear? What if you're scared to pitch to people? What if you're scared to present your ideas to people? So all these parts, almost like a 3D puzzle, can make you a better individual and better human being.
And I know that you may not believe this, but for years, I was afraid to speak in public. And I do it for a living now, which is crazy. But there are so many people that don't connect because they may have a fear of one, public speaking, two, of groups, whether big or small. And with COVID, when you're encouraged to separate and be apart, now that we are a more integrated nation, a more integrated world, sometimes getting back to that connection may be difficult. So I'm really loving the concept of the book.
I'll tell you a very similar story. First of all, public speaking phobia is number two after death. There's a reason why. I don't know if you're going to believe or not, but there was no way to let me introduce myself in a room more than 10 people. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, every time I need to do an introduction, I will just reverse in my head 15 times and try to memorize because I knew I will struggle. I knew I will say it very fast. I was thinking people going to laugh at me. I will all go red and start sweating. It was just horrible. And it took me quite a long time to work with my fear, to translate fear to excitement, to slow down my speech, to remove the straddling, to replace filler words with pauses, to learn how to use my voice better. I use breathing techniques to normalize myself because before I go publicly speak at a conference as well. Definitely possible. If you hear me speak 10 years ago, you think it's somebody else completely.
Tell me this, because this is some good stuff. But if you had one piece of advice to just share with entrepreneurs on how to play big faster in the area that you're in and use some of these techniques to improve their entrepreneurship game, what would it be?
I may able do two. One, networking is fundamentally important. And everybody says networking. What I think we're missing in networking is the note taking, is your personal CRM. And later on, it's biting us in the ass, excuse my French, because we're meeting people, we find connections. But what we're not doing in many cases is coming home and we're explaining why we connected with this person, what was in common, why it's good. Because in a year, 6 months, 5 years, you can meet this person again. And if you have a personal CRM or personal way to track notes, you will understand why you know this person. You may even forget their names as they're going to remember you, but this creation of networking, that networking is important, but we need a way to tap to it, to search it, to filter it. This is one advice. Second advice is you're going to have pressure, 100%. Learn to normalize yourself. Whatever it is for you to normalize yourself, running, meditation, healthy way, not drinking, okay? Find this way to do it. Breathing exercise helping me tremendously. This is probably the one best things I can do for free is box breathing, for example, to normalize myself because there are going to be times when you're overwhelmed and you don't have time and you need to learn how to normalize yourself to be fully present.
That is so great. Now, the question I know that's on everyone's mind is how can we get our copy of this book?
Here, so there's a couple of ways. A simple one, go to Amazon, type my weird name, Evgeniy Kharam, EvgeniyKharam. I'm the only one there on Amazon. You can find the book there. Also available on Kindle and Audible as well, if you're an Audible listeners. The other way is go to the website, softskillstech.ca or softskillstech.com. Everything about the book is there as well. There's a few blogs. There's a small podcast about the book as well, working on much more information there.
Look, thank you so much for being here, and we will make sure that we include a link in the show notes for the book.
Thank you very much.
And until next time, everyone, play big faster.
Thanks for listening to this episode, and remember to play big faster.